Hello, hello. Welcome back to Global Unbamboozlement, where I get it in the record. All right, so I am your speaker, SyDraper. Let's jump right on in. So on the board today, we're starting with what you see here. A couple of questions, verbiage there on the right side of the crayons. We're not going to be dealing with that today. I just wanted to share that as a prelude to what's coming as we start as we begin to conclude this series of chats. You clicked on the video, you know our subject matter. We're going to pop that on the board in just a moment. But again, I wanted to put this on here as a prelude, kind of a tickler, a little bit of a teaser of kind of what we're going to be approaching as we conclude this journey, this unfolding of Skin Color Lies Unpacked. A couple questions here we're going to answer as we approach the final chat. Is it really possible to disable the skin coloration ideology? Are we able to disable it? Is that really possible? Can humanity do it? The wrong focus around skin color ideology, the wrong lingo associated with crayon skin color ideology, the wrong usage of the lingo attached and associated with the whole skin color ideology scheme. What it has done has spawned a distorted view of the human society, casts some wrong auto imagery into our minds, one about the other, and thereby given birth to all kinds of illness throughout the human kingdom. That is the primary answer to what does this distorted view do? What has it done? So we're going to stop there and bring all of this off the board because I've explained why it was there. Now, let's move on. You are here at chat number 21. This is chat number 21. It will be a leg all by itself, number 7. We are at chat number 21, leg number 7. Continuing and beginning to conclude this series of chats about color lies unpacked. What kind of color lies? Skin color lies unpacked. Our subtitle for today's chat would be Creed. I want to apologize because want to take a moment to apologize because on the previous chat I came in here and did something like this and said next we'll be talking about the color gray. Rather, brown is what I said, and I meant to say gray. So I want to point that out. As you noticed on chat number 20, there was a piece in there where I came in here and did this and referenced, while pointing at the color gray, I'd said something about the color brown. Wrong. Intended to be saying the color gray. In some previous chats I have mentioned how this color gray, why is it on the board? So far, no one's been called gray. While there's folks that have been called red, yellow, brown, black, and white, thus far, no one in the human kingdom has been considered gray folks, as it were, as it relates to skin color. Why is it on the board? Why is it important? Again, previous chats I mentioned I would be speaking to that. So here we are today, again, as we approach the conclusion of this string of chats, this topic on which we have been bamboozled about on a global scale around the skin color lie ideology. All right, so piggybacking now off of chat number may have been 1920 at any rate. I talked about how I like the word creed versus using some other words when we are attempting to classify the human, who they are, identify them, right? Generally, ethnicity is a word that comes into play. Of course, color. Generally, I think it goes this way. Race, ethnicity, race, color, creed. It's the tendency that happens throughout the human kingdom, is the tendency, the practice, the language typically that comes into play when profiling, identifying humans. I've said the other day, this word and this word and this word, of course, I don't care for. This one, I have a huge respect for, and I'll explain as I attempt to be brief with this chat. And so in keeping with our structure of how we like to lay these chats out, if we were going to have a glossary of terms for today, they would simply be the words of the title. Seems repetitive, I know. To have to be writing the same words on the board, you already have it in one spot, why write it in another? Imagery, folks. Don't just think it, ink it. All right, so let's look at the definition for the word gray. The word gray is suggestive of any series of neutral colors ranging, watch this now, from black, ranging between black and white. That's one group of language used to define the word gray. The other group of language used to define the word gray says it's a vaguely defined position, and I do apologize about the squeaking as I write. I'll ease up on the tension here on the board, see if that helps. I know that's annoying. All right, so gray, what does it mean? It points us to any series of neutral colors ranging between black and white. Any series of neutral colors ranging between black and white. Second thing it points us to is a vaguely defined position or condition. Now, I want to bring our focus here and here and here. Why? Because what this definition wants to point us to is that this word gray can involve and or does involve all kinds of quote unquote colors or levels in between black and white, right? Uses the word neutral, uses the word ranging. Now, I like this. I like this because it is an opportunity to cast a more accurate umbrella over the description of the human skin. Okay? All right. Because we know none of us fits truly into these categories. Let's take us back as a reminder to the Census Bureau and a new acronym, rather, or a acronym, I don't know how new it is, that has come into play in identifying humans. SOR, some other race. They have discovered, if I can take you back to the page I referred you to when we were talking about the practices of the Census Bureau, some other race. That's what this SOR stands for. I submit to you, more and more folks are going to be checking that box. Why? They have grown fatigued with this attempt to be popped into a box that doesn't accurately define who they are. All right? So back to why we're talking about the color gray in the context of this skin color lie ideology. Because it is truly the most accurate way to discuss and discover who you are, who I am. You can only vaguely define who you are if only looking at your outward integument called skin. And so we ought to be done with this having been reduced to a crayon color as the description of who we are as human beings in this human condition. We are far too complex in the nature of who we are, in the nature of what we are, to have been degraded and reduced to being called a crayon color. I like the idea of this gray because it offers an opportunity of more neutrality, less restriction about who you are, about who I am. There is a range of shades. If we've got to talk about them, they range. Now, I do have a problem. I take issue with this. I take issue with that. Why does this definition have to say it is a neutral? It is a series of neutral colors ranging from between black and white. Why do we have to use that language? That's problematic because it brings attention back to this contrast between the black and the white, quote unquote, humans that has been sort of the primary sort of trigger for the problems that we've seen that have come out of using this faulty system of labeling humans. So this is a reminder of that as we look into this definition for the word gray. So I don't think it's quite so helpful. We could very easily play with this, right? Take this piece out. Any series of neutral colors, period. and keep the imagery of the fact of any series, right? Just to say there's different shades. I don't really want to use that word, but different levels, right? Different degrees, different variations, right? Of this thing called our skin suit. Right? That's what this gray points to. Now, let's look at the word creed. I want us to look at the word creed. I like that word creed. Now, if we are looking at your dictionary definition, as with most words, the dictionary gives a myriad group of words to describe what that means. And I want to point out here and make a distinction of how we're using it here, one versus the other, one group of descriptions about what this word is versus the other. One, when we talk particularly about how to identify a human, mostly deals with the religion aspect of the word, because it points us to, it can mean a set of beliefs as it pertains to religion, for an example. Religion, beliefs and practices, etc. Okay, the word creed is used that way. In the context of our conversation, that is not the definition or the group of words that we're going to be using around the word creed. Rather, it points us to, there is a group of words in its definition that points us to it being a guiding principle. A guiding principle. I like that. I like that. I like that. Because when we talk about a guiding principle, right, when we use the word principle, of course, guide means to lead, right? Principle, we're basically talking about a fundamental thing, a kind of foundational thing, right, when we talk about principle. So now, when we talk about creed as it relates to a better way, perhaps, to identify us, I like it because it gives us an opportunity to cast a wider umbrella over ourselves called the human species, right? A guiding principle is what the word creed means. So perhaps we would be a better humanity if we brought in some new uses of language when it comes to who we are, who we truly are. Move away from this having reduced us to the likes of a crayon color. It is not completely helpful. Granted, there are some capacities within the human kingdom wherein this plays a useful role, but we mucked it up, folks. We mucked it up. I'm going to mark these out because I don't like the words. I don't like them. This creed, however, and this language associated with the word gray, I like it. I like it. So it's on the board and grouped in with the rest of them because it is, I submit to you, a more befitting way to talk about who we are and what we are. Let us be guided in a better sort of foundational ideology around who we are. Move us out of this having been locked in for centuries and decades to this wrong, mucked up ideology. It is the activity spawned from it, I should say erroneous activity. And activity comes out of thought, right? Something thought. All activity began with a thought. And so this skin coloration ideology, as I've said so many times before, messed up our thinking about how we handle each other as a human condition. All based on this layer called skin that has been assaulted, if I might say, by this wrong usage of the system. Better to come in here and recognize the multiple levels, right, that exist across the human kingdom. I use the word level. I want to go back to the word shade. It's the best word right there. Because this is more of what we are, shades, than we are colors. And again, the problem, as I've said before, I use the word again, but because I've said it so many times before, is that it's not the color itself, it's the lingo associated with the colors that have got us into trouble here and thinking about each other in some very screwy ways. And then, therefore, acting out in some very erroneous ways, systematically, right? So I submit to you, we are a gray creed of folks. We are a gray creed. I'll stop there. You are here at Global Unbamboozlement, where I get it in the record.